Good afternoon. I'm Angelica Thornton in the K2 newsroom. That breaking news is in Portland, where there's been an officer-involved shooting. This is a live picture from Jet Ranger 2. That shooting happened just around 11 o'clock this morning near Southwest Barbur Boulevard and NATO Parkway. K2's Dan Tilkin is on the ground there. Dan, what can you tell us?
What we have here is an army of police officers trying to figure out exactly what happened. We have the police chief here. We have Portland Mayor Sam Adams here, as of course the police commissioner and the head of the police bureau. They're all here trying to figure out what happened. At the crime scene, we have 3 police cruisers. 2 are their traditional cars. 1 is a Ford Explorer. They have those taped off with a red crime scene do not enter tape here. They have cones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 traffic cones, which we are assuming must mark some sort of evidence or where this played out. This is kind of in a grassy area just off of NATO Parkway. For some folks who don't know where this area is, a lot of people know where the tram is. Well, this is just south of the tram, and also if you know where Caro Amico restaurant is, this is below Caro Amico, right next to their parking lot. And it becomes a grassy treed area, and that's where these police cars are actually pulled off the road up onto the sidewalk. 1 is actually onto the lawn here, and we can only imagine that this is where they must have confronted this person that was shot. What we have is unconfirmed initial reports of a man who was harassing children in the area. Police responded to deal with the man, and at some point shots were fired. I've spoken to 2 witnesses. 1 witness believes he heard 4 shots fired. Another witness believes that he heard 3 shots fired. Before the shots were fired, they heard yelling. Could not understand what the yelling was about. Don't know if it was the police officers doing the yelling or if it was the man that they confronted doing the yelling. We understand that the man who was shot has been taken away from here in an ambulance. We do not know his condition. I understand that the police officer who fired the shot is here talking to a union lawyer, which is customary what they do in this situation. So we're waiting for the police chief or the mayor, both of them, to brief us on the situation. They're meeting with detectives. We watch detectives as they've been pointing things out to each other, perhaps discussing the scenario. We've seen police officers talking to potential witnesses. This is a very crowded, dense neighborhood. A lot of people live around here. And so you can only imagine that there must be quite a few witnesses, if not eyewitnesses, certainly people that heard things. So once again, NATO Parkway, it is shut down both directions. You cannot get through here. They brought in a mobile command unit to set up, so they're going to be here for hours today trying to figure out what happens in this latest police shooting. So once again, Barbur, Curry, NATO area, you want to avoid that because you cannot get through.
Dan,
that's the latest, and we'll let you know when we find out more.
Dan, I don't know how close you are, but Jet Ranger 2 is right above the Caro Amico Italian Cafe. Does it look like the police are focusing in that area? Have they taped anything off around the restaurant that you can see?
Right. I'm imagining the angle you're seeing because I can see our helicopter, and I'm standing right next to Caro Amico. If you look straight at your shot, probably on the other side of Caro Amico, which is to the southeast, there are 3 police cars there that are
that's what we're looking at right now.
And 1 in the parking lot of Caro Amico. Just in front of those police cars, where the noses are, is where they've got it taped off with a red crime scene, do not enter. And inside that tape is where they have the traffic cones that may be marking something. Usually later they'll come in with little yellow numbered markers where they tag evidence, whether it's shell casings or blood or whatever it is. That's how they usually mark it. It's interesting to see that these cones are here. Maybe it was an impromptu means that they did that. I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of guessing. But the police officers themselves are all to the north of this and giving this area quite a bit of buffer. We've only seen about a half dozen officers, plainclothes, so they're detectives, who have actually entered the crime scene, and they did that for a moment, and then they left. They're back kind of where they've gathered to discuss the situation.
And Dan, no one else wounded or hurt that you've heard of besides the man that was involved in this shooting?
Not that we have heard of, no.
All right, Dan Tilkin, thank you so much. Again, there has been an officer-involved shooting between Southwest Barbur and Southwest NATO Parkway in Portland. Around the same time, there were reports that a man was in the area harassing children. Police responded to those reports. We don't know the exact connection at this point. Dan spoke to a couple of people that were in the area. One said they heard 3 shots. The other said 4 shots. That man was taken away. No one else appears to be injured, but a police officer did shoot a man in this area. Right now, Southwest Nato Parkway in the area is blocked in both directions, along with the area around Barbur. As you can see, there aren't any cars getting through, and there are a lot of police on the scene, so you want to avoid that area. Stay with K2 News and KATU.com for continuing coverage of our breaking news. We'll have much more on this shooting on K2 News beginning at 4 o'clock.